Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Living in the Limelight, an Anton Scholl and Friends podcast where we discuss music from the artist and fan perspective. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of Living in the Limelight. I'm your host, Anton Scholl, and with me today is my very special guest, Tommy Gibbons. How are you, sir?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. It's a Friday, so.
Oh, yeah. Yes, for sure. For sure. It's been one of those weeks. Boy, we got a lot to go over.
All right.
There's a lot going on. You're very well known in this area. You've worked with a lot of local bands, and quite honestly, with this podcast, I really like to. It's amazing how all of the people that I talk to kind of intertwine with each other in one way or another. It's like Arizona has like such a huge musical family, and all of the names kind of intertwine with each other. So
yeah,
and I think so anyway, so let's just get into a couple of things real quick, because I do want to talk about your band. I want to talk about your studio. I want to talk about your guitar playing, and I want to also just talk about in general how you go about writing things. Okay, because that's really what we're about, kind of like how things are, because I want the fans of this show are not always necessarily musicians, but they of want to know how things are done. All they know is that they go to a show, they show up, you play, end of story. But kind of like to dive in on like how that song came about and things of that nature. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right, so let's get going. First of all, I try to like interview as many different styles and different types of musicians that I possibly can. I've interviewed a couple of bass players. I got some drummers coming up, and obviously a lot of vocalists, but guitar players. It's something that everybody kind of strived, wanted to be in the very beginning. They all talk about how I wanted to be a guitar player, and all of a sudden they're bass players or drummers or a singer, or something totally changed. So just in with you in general, what changed? What got you into music, and what got you to decide I'm going to be a guitar player? And I know you're not just a guitar player, you also play other instruments, but lead guitar, being the shredder you are, what happened?
Simple answer. Dad took me to a Joe Satriani concert when I was around 8 or 9 years old. And after that, I was like, I got to do that. That is just simple as that. I got to do that. Which is funny because, like, for me, I actually took a break for a while from playing guitar, and took a break from playing music, period. But I feel like it is one of those things that you try all you want to get away from it, but it just keeps coming back, Yeah. So, well, here I am now.
Once a musician, always a musician, I say, it is very difficult to get out of it. But I think what happens is, did you get to the point of frustration? Did you get to the point of like, I'm doing all of this hard work? Because being an original artist myself, sometimes you get to the point where the frustration is so high, because a lot of bars or a lot of places that you want to play out don't want to hear your music. They want to hear covers. They want to hear the same old dance songs, bringing people in. What was your frustration level with the music, or why did you feel like you had to stop?
I don't think it was frustration. I think it was just more like I have this dark gift where when I don't want to do something anymore, I can just cut it off. When I don't like somebody, I just cut them off. When I got a problem, I just cut it off. And that's basically where I was with music. I was like, I just don't want to do it. My life was so much better. Honestly, I was doing really well without it.
Oh,
really? So I just caught myself not missing it until I missed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How long was that break?
About a good year and a half. I just stopped, and it was amazing. It was great. Like,
so you kind of recharged?
Actually, it was kind of an accident. I had a band. I forgot the name of them. They wanted me to produce their record, and I was like, "Nah, dude, I don't think you got the memo. I'm actually out." I don't really do that anymore. But then they kept persisting, and I'm like, so I came up with a ridiculous price, and they took it. So I was like, oh shit, now I kind of have to do it.
You
And I
have
guess
to.
that kind of helped. But I don't know. I just, I have a very supportive family, a very supportive dad, a very supportive fiance, and they kind of helped me get back into it too. And I don't know, just one thing led to another. It just felt right.
No. So let's talk about your musical influences then. Obviously, that first concert, can't get much better than better than that. But uh,
Yeah, yeah.
influences that you have grown up with that have changed
Oh,
you as a guitar player.
well, maybe not just as a guitar. Well, okay, so guitar player, Buckethead for sure. That's my number one
Mhm.
favorite. Kirk Hammett right there. But then outside of guitar playing, Johnny Cash is one of my heroes. I really like Neil Young as far as a songwriter. Don't really care for him as a person, but I mean, as a songwriter, though, I think he's brilliant. But I would say those are my major influences right there.
Oh, okay. Now
But,
it's funny because I saw one of your videos on TikTok because you're a big TikTok presence, and you were playing. You know how they do those things along with Metallica.
oh yeah,
It's one of those to where like Lars started out the video and it was just him on drums, and then Robert would come in and do the bass, and then that would mesh together. And then, I didn't really think anything of it. I was watching all of that, and then all of a sudden, there's you show up and you're jamming with Metallica. I thought that was pretty cool. What was that like for you to, kind of feel in a sense that you're jamming with Metallica?
I mean, I wish it was me actually jamming with them, but it was
Sure.
cool. I mean, what's funny is like it's hard for me to get starstruck, but I think that'd be the one band that would make me starstruck. I've been a Metallica fan since I was young, so to be able to do something like that, even if it was just a video, it was really fun, and I had a blast doing that. But so it felt really cool.
Yeah.
I felt like a kind of like a kid again, like just was nerding out a little bit, having probably more fun than I should have. But
Well, but it sounded great. I mean, it was
no,
something, when I listened to it, I was like, that's awesome. I mean, it sounded really good. Um,
not like you.
what do you think that TikTok has done for musicians? There's all this talk now about banning TikTok and going through this whole process and issues
Yeah,
with that of being such a bad thing. But what do you think? What has it done for you as far as
I
musicians, and what do you think it does for others?
I think for musicians, it's great. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't cost you anything. And
Right.
so I'm not doing TikTok because like, oh, I need to get out there. I need recognition or fame. I'm just doing it because I'm fucking bored. I'm sorry, can I cuss? I don't know if I can swear. I try not to. Um,
Right.
I just did it because I was bored, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll try this, and it was fun, and that kind of helped me get back into playing too, like just doing those TikTok videos. But I think for marketing yourself as a musician or as a band, it's great. I would I know there's some people that probably use that platform, but just like any social media platform, they probably don't use it right or they use it for the wrong reasons. But that's not really nor here or there. I think for bands, if you use it correctly and use it to promote yourself, I can't think of anything better right now.
Yeah.
And because I mean, you got
Okay.
to realize everyone's a hamster. Everyone's a kind of stupid now, so they want that
Yeah.
quick video. And I think it's such a great platform. Musicians really need to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. And speaking of musicians, let's talk about some of the musicians that you've worked with in Arizona, because obviously with the musicians out here, you're well known in that sense. And I just did an interview, by the way, with Scott Rowe,
Oh, nice. I love that guy.
and
God,
he had mentioned you on there. If you watch that podcast, he mentioned you on there. So give me a little bit of just something like that in general, because I know that was one of the most recent ones. How is it to work with these musicians, and how does that come about?
oh, so with me, obviously my studio, it's a business. But once business is out of the way, I really try hard to make sure that each musician walks out better than they were when they walked in. And sometimes, if that means I have to push them a little bit, if they walk out, they're not liking me personally, that's fine. But I will guarantee you will walk out of there better. And
Mhm.
it depends on the artist. Each process is different. I know there's, what I like about it is it's like it's like opening up a new pack of Pokemon cards. You never know what's going to happen. And you just kind of dive into it and be like, hey, let's see what I get. And I love that feeling. I love that feeling of what's going to happen here. What are we going to walk out with? And because
So what
not
was the
only am I hoping
project?
to push them, I hope it pushes me too
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question. I don't really know. I kind of stirred away from the question,
Yeah,
but
no. I mean, is there, Scott was really praising all of the work that you were doing and the stuff that you're going to be doing. Can you talk a little bit about how you're working with Red Rum and Scott Rowe?
um, so that came about. Actually, I think I was at NAMM when he called me, and I was in my hotel at the time, and he was like, "Hey, man, I really want to work with you." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And he sent me some like live videos, and they're very raw metal band, and I like that.
Yeah.
So I kind of just took what their sound is and just kind of enhanced it. And I know he wanted to get away from like the whole Alice Cooper thing, so I try to stay as far away from that as possible. And I think we accomplished that. But he's just that guy. That guy has so much just spirit and enthusiasm, man. I don't think I've ever met anybody with that like just energy.
Right.
He's just so excited, so happy all the time to do what he does, and I can't. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's a great guy. I mean, in talking, like I said, he was praising you for this stuff, and he's been around for so long, and especially the Alice Cooper tributes, and then into going moving the Alice Cooper tribute onto somebody else and still working the shows, and so again, how all the musicians here intertwine, and then I contacted you, because I've heard of you and watched your videos and listened to your music and thought, I'd like to collaborate. So hopefully in the near future, we will be doing something together. So that would be
I'm always
great.
down, man. Hell yeah.
All right. So I wanted to ask you also about, this does have to do with music, because I personally, I'm a big wrestling fan.
Oh,
And
same,
yeah,
man. Just
so
got done WrestleMania, so yeah. Let's talk
right.
about it. Let's
All
talk
right.
about it. What do you got?
One of the coolest theme songs is Kingdom of
Oh my
Cody
God!
Rhodes.
Yes,
And
yes.
I listened to that, and then I'm going like through TikTok, and there it is. You're playing it, and I thought,
Hell yeah!
I'm going to be interviewing this guy. So that's the songs on there. I just want to talk about the songs on there. What are your favorite like wrestling
Oh
theme songs that
shit!
you wish you would have wrote?
Oh God! All of them?
All of them. Yeah.
I know. Okay. So my top one, obviously, Kingdom.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes. I actually really like Roman Reigns' new theme song when he became the tribal chief. It's so epic, final boss feeling.
Yeah.
Undertaker is a big favorite of mine. Randy Orton, Stone Cold. I could go on. I would eat up the rest of the interview talking about wrestling. So, but
Right.
I would say those are my top 5 or 6 right there. I mean,
I know that when I would hear, everything would be really quiet, and then I would hear, "You think you know me," and it was like,
Ed
and then
was great.
Ed came out, and I thought, wow, that was always one of the greatest. And I did enjoy Seth Rollins' new theme song until it got a
That
little
one's
bit out
cool.
of hand.
Yeah,
with all of the chanting constantly.
But hey, it got him over, so it works.
Yeah, it's just amazing how the songs in general, and of course the game. When you bring out Triple H, and we're talking
Motorhead. Hell yeah.
It gets crazy. So yeah, you're right. We can go on about that, but let's. It just amazes me how that music sparks so much. And again, music being the universal language. I mean, everybody just enjoys that, and it shows kind of how the theme song of somebody presenting a person it's so epic. And I think
Absolutely.
we all want our songs to be able to have that feeling. And
Yeah.
with that, I wanted to bring up one of your songs. So "Get You Killed," one
Mm,
of your new songs. It. I got to tell you, it hits the strings. Um,
you're right.
I was really listening to a lot of your stuff, and when you were doing the TikTok lives and things, there was always some kind of shredding going on, always some kind of something going on. And then I came across this video, and I thought, wow, this is completely different, but awesome. So
No,
kind
thank
of,
you.
I get the understanding of the anthem of that song, the anti-drug anthem, but let's talk about that for a minute because I think it's very powerful, and I think it's something that a lot of people should really be listening to. So talk about that for a moment.
Well, so I mean, obviously, especially nowadays, the fentanyl crisis, which I feel like is not talked about enough because it's going on right now. And look, I'm not trying to get preachy. I'm not trying to tell people what to do. You live your life how you want to live your life, but I think it's a shame that there's people out there legitimately hurting, and we're not doing jack shit about it. Excuse my language, but we're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame. And I have people ask, "What are you doing about it?" I'm trying to bring awareness to it, man. That's more than what I could say. Most people just sitting behind a computer desk doing nothing. I'm trying to at least get the word out.
Yeah.
But I feel like actually, honestly, as the song as a whole kind of flopped because I think people took it the wrong way. I think they took it as I was on my high horse, which I was not.
Hmm.
Um, it didn't do as well as I wanted it to, and it didn't really reach like I wanted it to. But at the end of the day, that's not really what it was for. I was just trying to get a message out. And whether people
Yeah.
wanted to go along with it or not, that's not really my problem or my goal. If it saved a
Yeah.
couple lives, one of the there was a few comments I got on my TikToks that they would tell me because of this song, thank you so much. I'm sober now, blah blah blah. Those were the people I was trying to reach out to.
Sure.
And I think it was only like maybe 5 or 6 total, but I'm so glad that that song saved those 5 or 6 people.
Oh, absolutely. But you're always going to get those trolls. You're always going to get those people out there that, and it's probably out of jealousy. They wish they wrote it. They wish they could have done something like that. But, you're going to get those people that are always going to have some kind
Oh,
of a
I love it.
pushback.
I actually personally, I
Yeah.
love getting the trolls and the haters because the way I see it, and if this makes me sound egotistical, whatever, but the way I see it is like your life is that sad that the only joy you get is by picking on someone like me, who, quite frankly, I'm kind of a nobody. But for someone to go out of their way to hate me, I think that's hilarious. Like, wow,
Yeah.
why? Like,
Right.
Jesus, like I don't know. Personally, I get a kick out of them.
Sure.
I think like wow, people really need to grow up.
Well, I agree with that too. I mean, but again, those are also the kind of people that can get your name out there. The more
Oh,
hate
absolutely.
that people are putting
Yeah,
out there, hey, go for it. I'm okay with it. You
of
know,
course.
so is there any other plans with either that particular song to try to do something more with it, or any other songs that you have in the pipeline that you're looking at getting out there?
I would definitely say as of right now, no. But I've come to realize with me, I'm the epitome of never say never because I don't. I used to be that guy. It's like, oh, I'm planning on this release. I'm planning on doing this. I've come to realize that's just not working for me. I just kind of go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
One day I
Well,
might wake up like, you know what? Maybe I want to push the song a little bit more. But as of right now, no. Right now I'm working with my new band, Menace Mary, which is a cover band right now, but we will probably do some originals later. I don't know. But again, we're going off, we're not we're not planning anything. We're just going with the flow. And that's what I love about this.
now you're playing guitar in that because I know you also play bass. Are you playing guitar in Menace Mary?
Yes, I am playing guitar.
You are. Okay. Okay. Now, the transition then, because you've done both original and covers.
Mhm.
So, what is the process in choosing a cover song for your particular band?
I think multiple things. One, does the song slap? That's got to be important. Two, is it one that people are going to know? Like we try to find that balance of, like you said earlier, not doing the same typical bar songs, but we
Yeah.
also got to do stuff that people enjoy, and we also have to do stuff that we like. And I know a lot of people want to rag on cover bands, like, oh, you can't write originals. But I'm like, you know what though? Being a cover band is just as hard because people actually know these songs. So if I screw it up, they're gonna know.
Yeah. Right.
But we just did I just did my first 2 shows with them at the Roadhouse for Bike Week, and it was a blast. Really made me realize, like, wow, I enjoy being up here. I enjoy being on that stage. So it was nice, and it was a wild time, man.
Yeah. Well, Bike Week is crazy. So that was you were out in Cave Creek?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's my area. That's
Nice.
a great, it was crazy out here for that period of time. I didn't know you were up there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, well, let's talk about the band. Who's in the band? And, what are your plans as far as like doing any originals or, just
so
kind of, you said take it as it goes, but yeah, let's talk about the members then.
We got Dave Stone, which he's the guy that I came in contact with and made it all happen. He's the other guitar player, phenomenal player, great guy. Anthony Soto on vocals, tremendous singer. He has over 1 million followers on TikTok. We got Victor on drums and Scott, who also he's on bass. He also plays guitar for Oddity Paradox. So just a great group of guys, and we just love music. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna plan on doing originals soon. But again, we're going with the flow right now. We have a few shows coming up.
Yeah.
420, we're playing the Rock Bar. I know we got some shows coming up with the 44. We got a bunch of stuff happening. So right now, just going with the flow, getting tight, and kicking ass.
Great. And that's what it's all about. And having a good time. That's really
absolutely.
And a lot of these places out here that are pushing that, like the 44, they're really pushing these bands and really giving them a good outlet to play. They got a great stage. It's a lot of fun. The Roadhouse, always has a crowd, just a great group of people over there. And that's really what it's about, is getting out and having a good time and also showing everybody else a good time. So
for sure, man, for sure.
I wanted to ask about your process specifically in writing a song. So is it music first and then lyrics, or is it idea first, lyrics, then music? What's the process?
I don't mean to laugh because I get asked this question a lot. And the answer, a lot of times, are so disappointed. There is no process. I go in there, whatever happens, happens. I wish, I say this all the time, I wish I can give you some cool, elaborate answer, but there isn't one. Yeah. I don't go in there with a plan. I don't go in there going, oh, I'm going to make this. It doesn't work that way for me. I go in there and whatever happens, happens. I don't plan a single thing. And I'm sorry if that's not the answer you wanted, but that's the truth. I can't sit here and tell you, oh, I start with this, and then I don't know, man. Whatever happens, happens. Sometimes I'll come up with a cool guitar riff. Sometimes I'll come up with a vocal melody. I'll come up with a hook, but it just, whatever happens, happens.
You got to start making up some, if you get asked the same question over and over, you got to start making up some really cool answers. Like, oh yeah, that song came to me in a dream, and I woke up at 2:00 in the morning and grabbed my recorder and started.
It's just
playing it.
One thing about me, man, I'm a straight shooter, dude, and straight up, I've been asked that question before, and I give them that same answer, and they're like, "Oh, what the hell, man?" I'm like, "Sorry, that's the reality of it." Some a producer once told me, if you go in there with the intentions of trying to write a hit or write a single, it's not going to happen.
Of course,
because you put that ceiling over your head, and you pigeonholed yourself into a corner. So I took that to heart, and that's why I go in there, whatever mood I'm in, that's what's going to happen. And it's worked for me. So.
Well, there's so many songs that have just been written like in 10 minutes by an artist that they, didn't like. And it just turned out to be one of their biggest hits, and I always think like Warrant with Cherry Pie, that song was written as a last minute thing. It was just a very quick kind of a goofy thing. Was put together, and that all of a sudden became their hit, and there's a lot of songs like that, that just are, maybe even a filler, but yeah, I get it. I mean, there's just a lot of things that when you're looking at a song or when people hear a song, it's always like, wow, how'd they do that? And that really shows your creativity, just in general, to be able to just kind of sit there and just come up with something the way that you come up with it, just shows, how you are creative in that sense, which brings me to the producer side of all of this. Through your studio, you listen to a song, a band comes in and a band plays a song for you and says, Tommy, I need help, man. I got this song. Here it is. What do you think? What could we do?
The first thing is, if it doesn't got a good chorus, it's not worth anything.
Okay.
A song's got to have that good hook, otherwise no one's gonna be attached to it. If the song has a good chorus, then we build around that. That's usually my method. But it also, again, it depends on the band. If the band's more of a jam band vibe or a prog band, they're not really looking for good hooks. Then I look at the technical skills. Like, okay, what are we really wanting to feature here? It's one of those things. Again, it just depends on what's happening or what the band is like. Again, it kind of like my songwriting process. There's no like pre-plan. It just whatever happens, man.
Right.
But I feel like that's good because, like, what if I pull something out of my ass and like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you put that ceiling over yourself, then you might have missed out,
Have you been in a position with pushback where a musician may say to you, listen, I wrote this is the way I wrote it, and this is the way I want to do it. Has that ever come up, or are they pretty open-minded in what to do?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, no one's going to believe in the song more than you, and I'm not that kind of guy. It's like, no, my idea, it's fucking brilliant. Let me do it. If they're not happy with it, then we don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of guy. It's like, no, it's my idea. Let's stick to it. It's at the end of the day, this is your song, this is your project.
Yeah.
So just don't come crying to me later if it does fail,
Yeah. Okay, all right. Let's do it your way. Yeah, well, I can definitely see that. And like I said, some of the people that I've spoken to that have known you or have worked with you, your ideas come across very well, and they have been very open-minded in listening to you. And I think that's great. I think the way of getting together with these musicians and just helping out on these songs and them being open-minded enough to make that change, I think is important, because musicians got to understand that you can write a song and that's great. But if you don't have somebody produce it, in a sense, or kind of give it those fresh ears to listen to and know what sounds good, like a chorus, a good chorus, maybe a good hook in the opening, maybe some changes that need to be done, they really have got to become more open-minded and listen to what others have to say in order to get their song out there. So, I think it's really good that you offer that, because I'll tell you, there's some studios out there that are just like, hey man, I don't care. It's your song. You do what you do, you play it, you pay me, and you get out, and you don't take that approach. And I for one certainly appreciate that. And I know a lot of other musicians appreciate that too.
That's good.
Yeah. So what is next? You got the studio, you got, you're playing out now, you're doing your thing. What would you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished yet? Is there anything out there you'd like to do?
Again, I really hate to give you such a lame answer. I don't know.
You don't know? As
I
it
don't.
happened.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys. To quote Wedding Crashers, I don't really like setting goals per se, because then there's no room for disappointment.
Very true.
I'm going with the flow, man. For the first time in my life, I'm just going with things, and whatever happens, happens. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, great. I'm not,
I think that's a great way to look at it. And you know what? I can certainly appreciate that answer, because, I know that there are a lot of people that set so many goals and don't achieve them. And, a lot of people are just like, hey, when it happens, it happens, when I feel it, I feel it. And, when it comes around, it comes around. So, hey, I got no problem with that answer at all. I think that's great.
That's cool. Yeah, because I wish I could give you an elaborate, like, cool answer, but
Yeah.
that's how I've been in life lately. Is just
Right.
I'm so done with, like, oh, I want to plan for this, and if this happens, and then for it to just not happen. So I'm like, you know what?
Right.
Whatever happens, happens. If it works out, cool. If it doesn't, cool.
Right. I think that's a great attitude. All right, now I'll ask you, because we're coming up to the end here. I'm just going to ask you a couple of quick questions.
Go for it.
As a guitar player, so you being a guitar player, give me the ideal band you would have behind you.
Oh my
Given
God.
anyone, different musicians. Give me a drummer.
Yeah.
Give me a bass player.
They got to be like alive,
No,
or
no,
is
anybody.
it like big names?
No, it doesn't matter who it is. You tell me, who would you want as your lead singer, your guitar player along with you, your bass player, your drummer, and if you want to throw a keyboard player in, go right ahead.
I mean, not to sound biased, I'm pretty happy with the guys I'm with right now. Like,
Okay.
It's like the ideal situation for me. I got another guitar player that shreds. I got a bass player that's solid, drummer that can keep time. What a shocker. And a singer that's got range. So I right now I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Like, but if you're asking me, like, my dream lineup,
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. Okay, so drums, oh shit. Drums, I maybe Mike Portnoy. Because he's like sick, but he's like creative.
Yeah.
Bass, give me Flea.
Oh, of
It's
course.
because I want the contrast of just what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Second guitar player, I want Hetfield because he's got the picking hand of God. And then lead vocal. Oh no, bass, Victor Wooten, because that guy's
course.
Oh no, I already said Flea. So shit.
Yeah, you said Flea, right?
I said Flea. So vocals. Ah. Oh my God.
That's a tough call.
Give me Bruce Dickinson. Give me Bruce Dickinson.
Oh, okay.
Give me Bruce Dickinson, and I'd be happy. I mean, to me, that's a solid lineup. I think
Yeah.
really weird styles, so the music will probably come out wacky. But man, that's a. And I promise you, if someone else asked me this question, my answer would be different. I guarantee it.
I'm sure.
Guarantee it.
That's okay. And it changes all the time. And I do like to throw that one in every now and again.
I don't even know if I like my answers right now. Like I'm rethinking it. I don't know. I'll stick with that for now.
Right. Well, it's funny because some people will pick like the best musicians out there, but yet some of the people that you mentioned will probably not mesh well together at all.
No,
like
probably not. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is probably a terrible lineup, but you asked me what my dream lineup is. As of right now, that's what it is, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, but it's fun to think about. Those would be the musicians that are behind you, But I think about that because when I start hearing, I ask the question and then I hear people start thinking about things and I'm saying, okay, so wait a minute. If you had like Neil Peart on drums, but then you had, the bass player, let's just say it was like from AC/DC or Chris Novoselic or something. It just wouldn't go together. You know what I mean? I mean, these could be your most favorite musicians, but yet as a whole, it probably wouldn't work,
Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So listen, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's a lot of fun. I've always wanted to interview you. I've heard a lot about you and how much you help the musicians out here. And, as a musician, I certainly appreciate that. I personally hope to work with you soon.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
No, that's the thing. We're trying to get all of this out there and trying to show kind of how all these bands kind of work together. And, and the Arizona scene out here is one of the coolest scenes out there. Not everyone's looking at it as a total competition. Everyone's just looking at it to have a good time. So really appreciate all the work that you're putting in. So again, thanks for joining
thank you.
us. All right. And for everybody else, this is Living in the Limelight. I'm your host, Anton Scholl. Join in every week and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you. Thank you for joining our Living in the Limelight podcast with your host, Anton Scholl. Please feel free to comment, like, follow, share, and subscribe, and also add us to your playlist on your favorite streaming sites. Thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you again next week.